The sun was rising over Konoha as a lone figure sat atop the Hokage's mountain. The figure looked like the spitting image of the Yondaime Hokage with only whisker marks and violet eyes to distinguish between the two. It was Naruto sitting atop his father's stone head wearing his Umbu uniform, though his mask was situated on the side of his head. The young Umbu captain woke up early this morning to clear his head, just like every morning since the Sky Ninja raid. Naruto watched Konoha beginning to come to life with the start of the day. Businesses opening, people entering the streets, and the occasional ninja or two scampering to their missions. A few weeks had passed since the Sky Ninja raid and Naruto was still thinking about his conversation with Sasuke. Flashback, 3 weeks ago, Tsukuyami, Moon Reader, thought Sasuke. In a pitch-black world, Naruto was dragged into a pitch-black world where his body was inverted in colors. Naruto looked around the world slightly as he noticed he was in a genjutsu. Sasuke knows that I can easily get out of genjutsu? Even with this technique, I'd still be able to get out of this, thought Naruto as he channeled his chakra. The world cracked immensely but did not break. Naruto was impressed as he channeled his chakra once more. The pitch-black world held firm for a second time. Naruto was prepared to do it again and again until he broke the genjutsu, but Sasuke's voice stopped him. Naruto, wait. There's something I need to tell you, said Sasuke, appearing in the field next to Naruto beside his Susanoo. Do you know the reason why I left the village? Because if not, I'll tell you right now, as I hope you remember your promise of helping me. Yes, I remember what I promised you I'd do whenever you went after Itachi. I figured there was a reason that you left the village since that squad of Umbu attacked me before I could return with you, said Naruto before asking the question he knew Sasuke wanted him to. Was it an S-rank mission that Bei-chan sent you on? You're right that it was an S-rank mission, but Hokage-sama didn't sanction it, said Sasuke as Naruto looked confused. What do you know about Root? Never heard of it. Root is an officially disbanded branch of Konoha's Umbu founded by Danzo Shimura. We in Root carry out missions that Danzo believes will benefit Konoha, but only in total anonymity and without the village's authorization. Missions that wouldn't normally be done, as some of them are very dirty and could paint a bad image of Konoha. It's a very secret organization, and only the Hokage and the village elders knew of its continued existence. If it's so secret, then why would you tell me about it? Said Naruto before adding. And if it is so secret, I'm sure there would be countermeasures to ensure no one would talk. You're right, normally there would be a cursed seal on a member of Root, but due to the mission I was sent on, he took it off so that I wouldn't be found out. Plus, he never figured I'd meet you in a situation like this, said Sasuke, answering the last part of Naruto's question first. I'm telling you this now because of Danzo. The reason I joined Root was due to his promise of helping me grow strong enough to face Itachi and learning the truth of his actions during the massacre. It also gave me a way to protect Konoha. But Danzo is not someone I trust, so I'll need assistance from someone just in case he ever turns his back on me. So what is this mission exactly? To get in with Orochimaru and bring back any secrets he may have learned in his stint away from Konoha, while also leaking back information to Konoha to use for sacking his bases, said Naruto as Sasuke nodded his head. I was tasked as the leader of an Umbu squad assigned with dealing with their destruction. I did always wonder how we got their location, as they were placed in areas of extreme secrecy and difficulty to access to the outside world. Orochimaru may be a twisted individual, but he is also wise, and as such, Konoha may have never found any of his bases where he carried out his experiments. That's why I've been doing it in secret all these years, said Sasuke before turning gravely serious. But that's not all of my mission. The end part of it is to assassinate the Sannin. Naruto's face became more serious hearing this. Why not just kill him now or beforehand? I'm sure you're strong enough. I can feel it. Not to mention the power of those eyes you hold, said Naruto as Sasuke shook his head slightly. Had I killed him before now, I wouldn't have been able to gather information on his bases and his curse seal plus things like it. If we're going to kill Orochimaru, then we will erase him with finality. Leave no way for him to return or any of his experiments to freely move around. That makes sense. Someone like Orochimaru is bound to do all he can to ensure he can never truly die, which is why I'll need your help. There's no way Orochimaru couldn't know that I'd be attempting to kill him. I'm guessing he likes the reward more than the risk. Of course I'll be there, said Naruto as he then realized something. Speaking of risk, how is your eyesight? How could you know about that? Asked Sasuke as Naruto shrugged. I have my ways, said Naruto as he was referencing his time spent with Hashirama, who told him all about the Uchiha clan and the Mangekyo Sharingan. You've been using those eyes, and from the way you immediately placed me under this genjutsu, I'm guessing you found a cure of sorts? You're well informed about my clan's secrets, said Sasuke with a small smirk. My eyes are fine for now. You're helping me with that.
I'm helping.
How could I be? Said Naruto until he felt something very familiar to him inside of Sasuke. How? Do you know about the legend of the Sage of Six Paths and the Jubi? Ten-Tails? Said Sasuke as Naruto shook his head. It seems history is forgotten as time passes, but there is a relic that showed me the truth and the reality of this world. One that was written by the sage himself. Only those who possess visual prowess like myself can find out the truth from the tablet. The sage was able to defeat the Jubi, but as it was an immortal creature he could not kill it, leaving him with only one option. Naruto pieced the puzzle together. Only one option to stop a giant unkillable beast? Kind of familiar to the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. The sage sealed the beast and created a Jinchuriki. Yes, into himself. Time passed and the sage's life was coming to an end. So to save the world from the eventual resurgence of the Jubi, the sage divided its chakra up into 9 different pieces. Those different pieces later came to be known as the Biju, such as the Kyuubi. The sage then sealed the husk of the Jubi into what is now known as the moon before passing away. If the sage could do something like that on his deathbed, then how powerful could he be? Asked Naruto as Sasuke shook his head. I have no clue. He was the first ninja born with chakra and also Jinchuriki of the most powerful entity ever known. His power could be limitless. Plus, he is also our ancestor. The power of the Senju and Uchiha birthed directly from him, said Sasuke as Naruto was listening intently. The Senju and Uchiha were originally one in the same inside of the Sage of Six Paths. The sage had 2 sons, one the ancestor of the Senju and the other the ancestor of the Uchiha clan. The Senju were given the body of the sage consisting of his vitality and physical energy, while the Uchihas inherited the mind, consisting of his visual prowess and spiritual energy. Naruto continued putting the pieces together in his head. If what you're saying is true, then that makes us very distant relatives. And if those are my cells in that patch on your shoulder, it must lessen the effect on your eyes while also helping you recover faster due to my chakra and life force, said Naruto as Sasuke nodded. When did you acquire something like that from me? During our battle at the Valley of the End. Despite losing that last struggle, my Chidori did pierce your shoulder slightly, granting me access to your cells, which contained healing powers. But don't think that just because I have access to your chakra doesn't mean I can use any of your abilities or that my eyes don't lose their sight when I use them. It just lessens the effect considerably to keep me from getting too blind before I find the solution to fix my eyes permanently. Your brother's eyes? Questioned Naruto knowingly as Sasuke shook his head in amusement. You know way too much, Naruto. But you're right. However, our time here is coming to an end. I'm not too good at using this genjutsu and can only advert time by a few minutes. Can I count on your assistance in helping me? Asked Sasuke as Naruto sat for a little while contemplating Sasuke's question. Naruto then stood while putting a fist out. Sasuke grew a slight smile as he fist-bumped his best friend. One more thing. Hokage-sama seemed to know about the plan since she only sent that group of ninjas with you. I'd check that if I were you. Flashback end. It all makes sense. Yugao-senpai had just come back to the village and could have easily been sent out in the retrieval of Sasuke. Yet Bie-chan sent out 3 genins and 2 rookie chunins to retrieve him without any knowledge of the opponent's skills. It's hard to believe that Bie-chan didn't even feel like telling me about this or even root. She probably knew something like this would happen when I was talking to her that night about how Sasuke was acting fishy. Thought Naruto as he felt a slight breeze flow through the air, causing his hair to sway. An Umbu appeared kneeling on the mountain behind him. Yes. Gamataicho, Hokage-sama requests your presence, said the Umbu as he vanished right after relaying the message. Naruto nodded before vanishing in a shunshin to the Hokage tower. He came up through the floorboards of Tsunade's office as he addressed his leader. Hokage-sama, said Gamma as Tsunade looked up to see her favorite Umbu. Hello Gamma. Please take off your mask as it won't be needed for what I'm about to ask of you, said Tsunade as Naruto took off his mask and placed it back on the side of his head. Good. Now your code name for this mission will be Sake. There was a moment of silence as Naruto and Tsunade stared at each other with straight faces. Several seconds passed until Naruto's lip quivered upward slightly. Ha! I win this round Gaki. That's another point for me? Said Tsunade as she marked down a tally mark next to her name in a book she retrieved from her drawer. That now puts me in the lead, brat. Damn. I'll get you next time, said Naruto as he then slumped in the chair in front of his aunt. So what did you need me for? Oh right, I need you to go to Suna for another visit. Suna? Why Sunagakure? More alliance talks that won't go through, that haven't gone through since their failed invasion. Asked Naruto as he felt a familiar presence approaching the room. A presence of the Jinchuriki kind. Wait, she's here. You and a representative from our alliance with Kumo are going to go to Sunagakure. Suna appointed a Kage a little over 6 months ago, and he has sent a request to finalize the alliance. And I'm sending you to deliver our response while Kumo is sending someone as per the Konoha-Kumo alliance agreement. Informed Tsunade as a knock came at the door. Gomein. The door opened acknowledging Tsunade's request. Naruto turned and his pupils dilated at who he saw. Hello, Hokage Dano.
Hello, Naruto-kun.
The greeting came from a sweet voice that Naruto considered his favorite. Hey Yugi-chan, said Naruto cutting off Tsunade, who should have went first but realized Naruto was excited to see his girlfriend. You're the Kumo representative? Of course I am, said Yujito as she looked to the third blonde in the room. Are we ready to go, Hokage Dano? I'm guessing Naruto-kun will be Konoha's representative. Tsunade nodded her head as she took out a scroll and flung it at Naruto. Yes, ma'am. Have fun you two and please get there safely. Just because the Akatsuki isn't scheduled for a few months doesn't mean they can't surprise us, said Tsunade as Naruto caught the fast-thrown scroll. See you when you come back. Naruto nodded his head as he escorted Yujito out of the office. As they were walking out, Sakura walked past the two with a greeting. Tsunade-sama, are you sure it's wise to send Naruto on that mission with Yujito without backup? They could get captured by the enemy or something else. They could also, they might dash, stammered Sakura as Tsunade halted her apprentice with a hand. I know it's dangerous, Sakura, but I don't think there is anyone who could take out Naruto, let alone Naruto and Yujito together. Even Itachi Uchiha and his partner would have problems, said Tsunade as she went back to her paperwork. And about that last part, Naruto's been acting weird since the Sky Ninja assault, and this will be perfect for him. Maybe Yujito will help get him out of his funk. Sakura nodded her head at her sensei's words. Wait, what? Land of Wind, 2 days later. Mokutan. Shichuka no Jutsu. With style. 4-pillar house technique. Wood rose out of the ground in tall pillars, molding itself into a perfect wooden house. Naruto picked Yujito up bridal style as he kicked open the door to the newly built house. Naruto stood with Yujito in his arms as he then looked at his girlfriend. Yujito gave a hum before shaking her head. No, I don't feel it, said Yujito as Naruto nodded his head in agreement. I know right, something's off, said Naruto setting Yujito down while closing the door to the newly built house. I don't know what it is, but it just doesn't seem like it's right. Ah well, I'm sure with enough practice, I'll get it down. Yujito nodded while taking off the cloak she was wearing to keep the sun off her skin. Yujito and Naruto entered the Land of Wind and were only a day away from Sunagakure. The two Jinchuriki decided to rest for the remainder of the day as they were running for the majority of it racing to Suna. The shift between the Land of Fire and Land of Wind happened immediately and the landscape was unforgiving, requiring the use of a cloak to shield oneself from the blazing sun and harsh conditions of the desert. Yujito walked into the main room of the newly created house while Naruto walked off into the bathroom to shower. As Yujito unpacked her belongings from the scroll in her ninja pouch, she looked around at the house Naruto created just now in mere seconds. Naruto-kun's Mokutan ability has improved, thought Yujito, looking at the detail of the house compared to the one he created over a year ago in Kumo. I mean, this house is amazing, and it seems like he barely even put effort into making it. This is something royals would live in. Mokutan was simply an amazing Kekai Genkai. The power to build or the power to destroy. It had no equal. Naruto could subdue beings as powerful as the bijou or spawn beauty such as this house if he so chose. It was incredible. You're right, kitten. You're totally right. Came the voice of Yujito's bijou companion, Matatabi. He even had the decency to create a queen-sized bed for you too. I know you've been wanting to finally claim him ever since this trip started. I've heard your thoughts, so don't even try to lie about it. Yujito smiled internally at her bijou as she heard the door to the bathroom open. Yujito turned her head to see Naruto walking out of the bathroom in a simple shirt, boxers with faces of toads everywhere, and his nightcap that had the design of a toad swallowing the top part of his head. Yujito chuckled slightly seeing him in that ridiculous attire again. Naruto stretched and yawned as he looked at the amused Yujito. Yugi-chan, I'll be here if you need me. I'm tired, said Naruto as he plopped face first onto one side of the bed. With Naruto laying face down on the bed, he didn't notice Yujito's smirk as she slipped into the bathroom. Naruto laid with his face buried snugly into the bed for about 3 minutes until he heard a voice in his head. Naruto, said Kurama in Naruto's head. Naruto didn't move outwardly but grunted internally to acknowledge that he was listening. When are you going to confront that Senju lady about what that Uchiha brat told you? I will, Kurama. In due time. Well, hurry it up then. You're getting on my nerves with the way you've been acting lately. You're limiting yourself by having that cloud over you for the past few weeks. I know. Even Yugi-chan has noticed. It's just hard. To think that someone you trust did something like that without telling you is tough to swallow, said Naruto back to Kurama. Kurama took what Naruto said into consideration. You're right, but why not hear her side of the story? Find out why she made the decision she made. That way you can finally get over what's been plaguing you since seeing that Uchiha boy again. Kurama, when did you get all emotional and begin to help me with my personal problems? Asked Naruto as he then smirked into the bed he was laying in. You must really like me. I knew we were friends. Kurama? Kurama? Said Naruto to his bijou. Did he cut the connection on me? I never knew he could do that. So that's what that feels like. I guess I'll talk to him later. Hello, Naruto-kun. Came the sultry voice of Yujito as the door to the bathroom closed. Yujito was dressed in one of Naruto's t-shirts that had the Senju clan crest laid on the back with her white necklace that matched Naruto's green one. Due to Naruto being bigger than Yujito, the shirt Yujito was wearing only hung down low enough to cover Yujito's backside, where you could see a pretty pair of blue panties peeking underneath. Mind if I join you? Yujito had never seen Naruto move so fast. Naruto heard the word I, followed by the word join, and already concluded that she was going to ask to join him. Naruto was now under the bedsheets, lifting part of it to allow Yujito entrance. Yujito crawled into the bed happily as she snuggled her way over to Naruto in the middle of the bed. You're warm, said Yujito with a contented sigh as she nuzzled her way into Naruto a little further. So I've been told, said Naruto, pulling Yujito in further with one of his arms. One of the many perks, I guess, when you're dealing with a guy with a near-omnipotent bijou resting in his stomach. Or mind, since I go into my mindscape to talk with him? I don't know, one of the two. Speaking of bijous, it's almost time for the Akatsuki to come around, right? Naruto gave the girl a nod. Just about. Jiraiya-sensei said that'd be making their move in 3 years, and if he's right, we have a little over 4 months left to prepare for them, said Naruto as he grabbed Yujito a little closer unconsciously. It's even worse because since you have the two tails within you, they'll come after you during the first part of their hunt. They'll try to gather the bijou from 1 to 9, in that order if everything is correct with Sensei's intel. Meaning you'll be one of their first targets. But don't worry, I won't let them get you. Don't worry about me. I'm sure that anything they could throw at me wouldn't be enough to take me down. especially if I go full transformation and I'm sure I'll have backup anyway. Yujito internally smiled at Naruto's tightened grip. He was worried about her, but she was worried about him too. You need to worry about yourself. Jiraiya-sama also said that the leader of that group is supposed to come after you. Anybody that can lead a person like Itachi Uchiha and several other S-rank shinobi has to be powerful. If what I fear is true, then we will need to worry, said Kurama as Naruto listened intently. If they're gathering all 9 bijus, then it can only mean that either they'll use us as a weapon or they'll combine us into something more powerful. Something more powerful? I thought you were the most powerful? What creature could be more powerful than you? Questioned Naruto, paying no heed to anything but Kurama. The Jubi that Sasuke talked about? Yes, the progenitor of this world and the original tailed beast. You still haven't told me about this Jubi ever since I learned about its existence. What about it makes it so tough to handle? Started Naruto, only to be cut from his conversation by Yujito poking him in the cheek.
Oi!
Yugi-chan, what was that for? Yujito displayed a cute frown. You were spaced out and ignoring me. I thought you were going to protect me from the Akatsuki? You can't do that if you're spacing out and talking to your bijou. You're not even focused on me. I am focused on you, said Naruto as Yujito began to position herself on top of his lap, facing him. You sure you're focused on me? Said Yujito in a playful manner. Naruto smiled a little as he leaned his head forward so that his and Yujito's lips were a breath away. I'm sure, said Naruto as he leaned his head further. Right into Yujito's lips. Naruto and Yujito were grinning slightly as they continued to kiss one another with roaming hands. Yujito started to take off Naruto's shirt as they eventually ended the kiss to get it all the way off. Yujito tossed Naruto's shirt, leaving only his necklace there as she ran a hand down his chiseled upper body. We've been alone for 2 whole days, started Yujito, kissing Naruto some more before breaking away. Yet, we still haven't done anything. What did you have in mind? Questioned Naruto as he felt Yujito's hand reach the top of his boxers. Yujito's eyes were locked firmly on Naruto's boxers as she put a hand inside the waistband. Yujito licked her lips in anticipation as she then looked back up at Naruto. Well, started Yujito as she began to pull up on Naruto's boxers. Before Yujito could make a move to pull them down, Naruto grabbed her hand and stopped her. What? Do you not want dash? With a loud crash, 9 figures came flying in through the house's window with weapons drawn at the 2 Jinchuriki. 9 masked individuals as one of them pulled down his veil to address the 2. Sorry to interrupt what you were doing, but, said the man as he moved his oversized sword closer. We'll be taking all of your valuables. So please don't make this harder than it has to be. You have got to be kidding me, said Yujito with a frown as the man laughed. Oh, don't worry, pretty lady. We're gonna kill your lover there quick and without pain. But you, my dear, will be taken back with us to become our personal plaything. I'm not worried about that. Actually, I'm not worried at all. It's just you guys are serious mood killers, said Yujito as she moved off of Naruto. One of the men approached Naruto immediately, and with a swing of his cleaver, Naruto's head came clean off. But instead of blood, only straw came out. Is that a dummy? Said the leader as he realized that it was a replacement. They're shinobis. Naruto appeared behind one of the men in a shunshin as he pressed firmly into one of the man's vital organs with a tri-pronged kunai. Yujito moved swiftly to stab the one next to Naruto's with one of her extended fingernails into his heart. Naruto kicked the man off his kunai before he slammed a hand into the floorboard. A huge seal appeared underneath the house, making the ground rumble slightly as Naruto placed an arm around Yujito before performing a shunshin to exit the house with her in tow. Get out! Shouted the leader as he and 2 others managed to leap out of the house in time. The other 4 weren't as lucky as the house was swallowed whole by the appearance of a giant Venus flytrap. What the hell is that thing? Asked the leader as he looked at the huge plant in front of him that appeared to be looking at him despite not having eyes. The leader then looked to the right to see Naruto and Yujito across the clearing. Man, I was just about to lose my virginity. And you all just had to show up? Said Naruto as he held the snake seal. Trees sprouted from the ground around the 3 men that were left as they were held snug in the branch's grip. Who are you? The leader gulped nervously. I'm just a thief. I don't even know how to use a sword, but I never meant any real harm, said the leader, still struggling to get out of the chakra-suppressing trees. Before Naruto could respond, however, Yujito did for him by blasting a giant wall of blue flames at the helpless men, burning them alive. Bandits, stealing from people and threatening to take a woman and use her against her will, said Yujito as she turned toward Naruto. That's who they are. Naruto nodded his head, not caring that Yujito just killed the treacherous men. He was sad that people died but didn't feel sorry for them because of what they may have done or planned to do. By the way, said Yujito, pointing toward Naruto's plant summon, your plant just ate all of our belongings and the house we were in. Naruto's plant creature spat out several scrolls and Naruto's toad wallet as it disappeared in a poof of smoke. Naruto looked sheepish as the stuff spat out by his summoning was covered in a thick slime. So does that mean we can't continue what we were about to do? Started Naruto, only to see Yujito's look. Yeah, bad timing. Don't worry, I'll replace all of that. Somehow. At least it saved the treaty scrolls. Sunagakure, 1 day later. Dude, that's the orange fox in Kumo's Hellcat? Said Asuna Chunin, who was situated inside of a dune that acted as a gate for people entering Suna. And you said this job sucked. The other Sunachunin in the dune beside him could only nod dumbly as he watched the retreating figures of the two Jinchuriki. Naruto was dressed in the standard Konoha uniform, except with a short-sleeve shirt on instead of a long one. He still wore black instead of blue as his pants ran into his black and white shinobi sandals. Yujito was wearing her normal attire but added the one-strap, white flak jacket of her village. They were both wearing black forehead protectors that displayed their respective villages as they walked through the streets of Suna. Naruto-kun, said Yujito, noticing the villagers' stares at the two of them and the stares of others as well. We're being watched. Of course we are, Yugi-chan. Well, not me in particular because I've been here several times before, but definitely you, said Naruto as he saw what was Suna's equivalent to the Hokage Tower. Though I do wonder who they picked as a Kage, not to mention the fact that I can finally help Gaara out. Gaara? Questioned Yujito as the two continued walking despite the constant stares from the villagers. You don't know who Gaara is? Suna no Gaara, Gaara of the Sand? You've really never heard of him? Asked Naruto as Yujito shook her head no. Well, I guess you probably wouldn't since Suna isn't that much of a world power or even relatively close to Kumo. But Gaara's the Jinchuriki of the Ichibi, Shikaku. Wow, another Jinchuriki. And finally the one weaker than me. Every other Jinchuriki I've met has a bijou with more tails than me. Finally, the Jinchuriki whose ass I can kick when it comes to raw power. No, my dear Yugi-chan. I wouldn't say that, well, I guess you can relatively when just speaking of tails. But Gaara's extremely strong, and then you have to remember that we're in a desert, surrounded by miles of sand which Gaara can control at a whim, informed Naruto, getting Yujito's eyebrows to raise. Trying to beat Gaara in Suna is like trying to light a match underwater. It's futile, really. Even I would get my ass handed to me out here if he went all out. You'd get your ass handed to you out here by me as well. Came the voice of Kankuro, standing outside of the spherical structure that held the Kazekage's office. Kankuro smirked as he put a fist out for Naruto to bump, which Naruto easily did. And I assume you're Ni Yujito, liaison for Kumogakure. I am Kankuro. Welcome to Sunagakure. Yujito shook hands with Kankuro, returning his greeting. Naruto then noticed something that was off. Hey Kankuro, where's Temari-chan and Gaara? Asked Naruto as Kankuro escorted the two into the building. Kankuro chuckled at that question. Temari is out on a mission at the moment and I'm guessing you haven't heard about Gaara? Said Kankuro as Naruto shook his head wondering what he could mean. Did something happen to Gaara? Well? Hello, Naruto and Yujito-san. I am the Godame Kazekage, Gaara, said Gaara as Naruto's jaw dropped to see Gaara in the ceremonial green robes of Suna's Kage. Welcome to Suna. Yujito greeted Gaara with a bow at the young Kage as Naruto continued to gawk at the Ichibi Jinchuriki. You're kidding, right? Asked Naruto as Kankuro laughed and slapped a hand on his back. When did this happen? I was here less than a year ago, And you all still didn't have a Kage yet, and now they've selected you? Yes, I was given the honor of Kage shortly after you left the last time. The people have accepted me and I am proud to serve as their Kage, said Gaara, turning around, looking out of his office at his village. I'd gladly give my life to protect them. Naruto couldn't help but smile at his once enemy turned friend. After the failed invasion of Konoha, Suna surrendered immediately and afterward began the process of an alliance with Konoha. Naruto became the messenger between the two villages along with Temari as they continued discussing their alliance. And in that time, Naruto became good friends with Kankuro and Temari, but even better friends with his fellow Jinchuriki, Gaara. Naruto helped Gaara live for a better purpose other than proving his existence through killing. He helped him find something worth living for. The alliance talks between Konoha and Suna continued ever since the invasion because due to Suna not having a Kage, an alliance necessarily couldn't be finalized. But now with Gaara as the new Kazekage, a true alliance could actually be feasible. And with Kumo there due to their alliance with Konoha, 3 of the 5 great villages would be at peace with each other. Naruto smiled more at the thought that he was seeing Hashirama's dream coming true, one village at a time. Gaara then turned back around as he looked toward the 2 other Jinchuriki in the room. I'm sure you 2 are tired from your trip here. We have set up accommodations for your stay here for the night and any night after that until we decide on the alliance between our villages. All expenses are paid as you will be on my tab, so enjoy yourselves here, said Gaara, getting smiles from his fellow Jinchuriki. But of course I'll need the scrolls sent by your respective Kages first. Naruto and Yujito nodded their heads as Naruto took off the huge scroll on his back. After opening the scroll, Naruto held the tiger seal, making the scroll poof and reveal 2 other scrolls, a red one from Konoha and a yellow one from Kumo. Gaara nodded his head as Naruto handed him both scrolls. Thank you and enjoy your time in Suna. I'll get you a response after convening with my council, said Gaara as Kankuro offered to take them to their hotel. Also, are you able to do what you promised me now, Naruto? Naruto turned his head around and only smiled. I can do it tonight if you're willing. Tonight it is. Until then, said Gaara as he opened the 2 scrolls given to him and began to read their contents. Naruto and Yujito made their way out of the building following Kankuro all the way. Later that night, Yujito walked into the hotel room provided by Gaara as Naruto walked in with a shopping bag behind her. That Naruto was followed by 16 other Narutos as they were all carrying shopping bags filled with things for Yujito. After placing their bag down, that Naruto would then poof away to allow the next Naruto to do the same. Well, I think that replaces all of my belongings plus I got something extra, said Yujito as she looked at the original Naruto walking in. Naruto was holding up his now empty-toed wallet, Gamachan, as he cried anime tears. Gaara said he'd pay for everything yet you made me pay, said Naruto sobbing all the while. I lost a whole S-ranked mission pay. It wasn't Gaara's fault that my belongings were swallowed by a plant, said Yujito as Naruto continued to sob. After a few minutes, Naruto straightened up as he and Yujito felt a presence rapidly approaching. Sand swirled into their room as Gaara appeared in Asuna Shunshin. Naruto nodded at Gaara as he then followed Gaara out of the window back to the Kazekage building. After walking through the doors, Gaara took Naruto into the bunker located at the base of the building. The room was empty except for a metal bed with restraints on it. You ready? Asked Naruto as Gaara took the gourd off his back and the upper part of his clothing, leaving him bare-chested. Gaara then laid down on the table as he blew out a breath. If you are, said Gaara as Naruto tied down his arms and legs with the restraints on the bed. Naruto created a wood clone as he smiled. Of course I am. If I succeed then you'll be able to sleep at night without the threat of losing your mind. If not, I'll just unleash a Bijou hellbent on destroying everything everywhere, and since we're in this little room, you and I will be squished and killed without even being able to stop him. No pressure, said Naruto with a grin. Naruto then looked to his clone. Let's get to it. Naruto's clone jumped back several feet as it sat cross-legged on the ground facing Gaara and the original Naruto. Wooden pillars grew around the clone as it placed a palm out toward Gaara. The kanji for sit appeared in the clone's palm as the pillars reached maximum height. A firm nod from his replica later and Naruto ran through 7 hand seals before placing a hand over the seal that housed Shikaku inside of Gaara. Fuin Jutsu. Kai. Sealing technique. Release, said Naruto as a burst of energy rolled through the room as Gaara's seal glowed and began to slowly reseed on itself. Sand began to swirl around violently after Naruto released the seal as Shikaku began to attempt to free himself. The wood clone's hand began to shake as it tried to keep the presence of Shikaku suppressed while his original kept his palm on Gaara's seal until it receded fully. Eventually, Gaara's seal got to the bare minimum without releasing the full might of Shikaku before Naruto put his other hand in a half-ram seal. Shishio Fuin, 4 symbols seal. A circle of kanji appeared where Gaara's seal once was. The circle of kanji had 4 points sticking out of it at 4 different corners as the Uzumaki swirl appeared in the middle of the kanji. The seal glowed for several seconds until the sand that had been whipping around without control dropped to the ground harmlessly. The seal turned black as Naruto smiled while a bead of sweat dripped from his forehead. The entire process had taken a little over 3 minutes as Naruto put his hands up in victory. Naruto promised Gaara on a visit to Suna, after seeing Gaara attempting to change for the better, that he'd look into making Gaara's seal better. Naruto noticed that Gaara's seal was only good enough to hold Shikaku in but not protect Gaara from his influence. And after 2 years of seal work with clones and studying Gaara's seal, Naruto finally could create a better seal for his friend. Naruto and his clone then shared an air high five as the original Naruto fell back onto the sand that now occupied the floor. His clone made the wood it created go back into the ground as it dissolved into wood itself. Naruto fell into a state of unconsciousness as doing Gaara's seal took a lot out of him. Gaara woke up an hour later as he looked around to see Naruto out cold laying down in his sand. I can't feel Shikaku like before. He did it, said Gaara as he realized he was still restrained to the table. Sand rose out of his gourd as it broke his restraints to allow its wielder freedom. Seems my control over sand is still as good. Gaara sat up as he placed back on his clothes and gourd before picking Naruto up with the sand he was lying on and carrying him back to his hotel room. Gaara entered their room as he placed Naruto on his bed before leaving. Several minutes later, Yujito stepped out of the bathroom to see Naruto passed out on the bed. Naruto-kun? Said Yujito as Naruto didn't move in the slightest. Yujito sighed as she wouldn't be able to have her way with Naruto this night either. What does a girl have to do around here to get some? 2 days later, futon. Kamaitachi no jutsu, wind style, wind scythe technique. Came the voice of Temari as she let loose a mighty torrent of wind across the training ground she was in. The wind carried dust and other particles as it ripped its way toward her opponents. Mokuton, Mokujihiki, with style, with domed wall, thought Naruto. Holding the snake seal as a circular wall of wooden pillars protected him and his partner from the violent winds. Once the wind began to die down, Naruto let his wall recede as his partner ran through several hand seals. Katan, Dienden, fire style, great flame bullet, said Yujito, holding the tiger seal as she sent out a huge wall of flames at Temari. Due to the dying wind still in the area, the flames grew to great heights as they raced toward Temari. Before the fire could reach Temari, a massive sand wall appeared in front of her to block the great flames. The sand wall fell to show Gaara standing near Temari with his hand up. Naruto placed his hands in the ram seal before grabbing Yujito and jumping to avoid 2 giant puppets coming out of the ground that attempted to trap the two. TCH. Good of you to dodge my Kurohiji. Kiki Senpatsu, black secret technique. Machine triple shot, said Kankuro as he then smirked. But now you're prime targets for our next attack. Kurohiji, Kiki Sankaku, black secret technique. Machinery triangles, said Kankuro as his 2 puppets opened up to fire off kunai attached with bombs. Futon, Dai Kamaitachi no Jutsu, wind style, great wind scythe technique, said Temari as she sent out a gust of wind that was greater than the first. Rindan, Suna Shigure, successive shots. Sand drizzle, said Gaara as he sent out a plentiful of sand bullets. The Sand siblings' attacks were directed at the airborne Yujito and Naruto as they honed in fast. Halfway to Naruto and Yujito, a massive wooden dragon burst from the ground as Naruto and Yujito landed on top of its still rising head. The dragon took the combined assault from the Sand siblings without wavering in the slightest as it then turned its head down to look at the three Sunanines. The dragon let out a mighty roar before rushing out at the Sand siblings. The dragon moved surprisingly fast despite its immense size and prepared to crash into the three before Gaara raised both hands, creating giant sand hands that stopped Naruto's dragon in its tracks while also capturing Naruto and Yujito in the process. "Sabaku, Hando, Desert Hand," said Gaara as Naruto smiled. Okay, you win, said Naruto as Gaara allowed a rare smile. Gaara let Yujito and Naruto go as the two jumped to the ground next to the three of them. Gaara then had his sand bring out two scrolls, both green signifying they were from the Kazekage personally. "Here are the scrolls for you both to return to your Kages," said Gaara as Naruto and Yujito humbly accepted them. "Thank you for coming to Suna, and I hope that everything works out so that we can have peace between our villages." Gaara shook hands with Yujito and Naruto as they then said their goodbyes to Temari and Kankuro. "See you guys around," said Naruto before he and Yujito threw on cloaks and left back on the trail to Konoha. As Naruto and Yujito disappeared over the horizon, Kankuro and Temari fell to their knees. "What's wrong with you two?" asked Gaara as he turned his head slightly toward his downed brother and sister. "Naruto, it's hard," said Kankuro as Temari said the same about Yujito. If it hadn't been for Gaara, they would have surely been decimated by the assault of those two. It also helped that they were given the home field advantage being in their village. Later that night, "Yeah, I could have totally kicked his ass if I went all out," came the loud voice of Naruto so Yujito could hear him since she was taking a shower. "But by doing something like that, it causes an unnecessary ideal for power. If a village's Kage can be defeated by another ninja, especially a foreigner, then it definitely paints a bad picture." Yujito turned off the water as she walked out of the bathroom clad in only a towel to see Naruto laying motionless on the bed, just like she had left him earlier. How does a Jinchuriki get chakra exhaustion again? 30 minutes earlier, Mokutan, Cho Shichuka no Jutsu, with style, Super 4 Pillar House Technique, said Naruto as he and Yujito stood outside in a clearing. Naruto slammed his hands on the ground as the ground erupted in a burst of wood pillars. Naruto's wood pillars converged and merged eventually into an enormous castle-like structure, complete with a tall wooden fence around it. Outside of the fence, several of Naruto's plant summonings appeared as they became bodyguards for the newly created fortress. "Now, we won't have to worry about bandits disturbing our peace anymore," said Naruto before he face-planted into the ground. "I think I may have put too much chakra into this." Present. When he creates a castle and pumps a tremendous amount of chakra into his summons so that they don't dispel right away and can last throughout the night. Not to mention that in the same day, having clones training before they left Sunagakure and that he and his sexy girlfriend just faced a Kage and two Jonin for over an hour in a spar. In hindsight, I should have thought that through more, said Naruto before wiggling his toes slightly. I can wiggle my toes now, so in about another half hour I should be able to move. Thanks for helping me get a shower and to bed, because the way I am now, I wouldn't have been able to do it myself. Naruto was wearing only boxers as Yujito helped him take care of himself before bed because it was taking him forever to do so himself. She then helped him onto the bed so he could lay down and recover from his state of immobility. Yujito nodded her head as she then picked up the shirt she put out to wear for the night. Right before putting it on, Yujito then realized something and a smile grew on her face. Yujito threw the shirt down as she turned back to the whiskered blonde laying on the bed before her. Naruto noticed Yujito's grin and was wondering what was going on. "Yugi-chan?" said Naruto as he noticed Yujito walking toward the bed before crawling over to him and sitting on her knees. "So you basically can't do anything right now? Helpless?" said Yujito as Naruto nodded his head slowly with a confused look on his face. "Pretty much. Though being a Jinchuriki, I'll recover here shortly. I just told you that though, Yugi-chan. Were you not listening, started Naruto only to stop when he felt Yujito's hand rub against the part of his anatomy hidden underneath his boxers. "So I could pretty much do anything to you right now and you wouldn't be able to stop it," said Yujito as her smile grew when she felt Naruto responding. "Because you've kept me waiting for far too long, and I intend to make you pay for that." One day later, outskirts of Sunagakure. The Kyubi Jinchuriki has left the village. You can go ahead and pursue your target of the Ichibi. Came the voice of Zetsu, the Akatsuki's spy, as he was talking to two other members of the Akatsuki. Zetsu then dug back into the ground to leave the others to their assignments. The taller figure of the two pulled out what appeared to be a clay bird as he tossed it out in front of them. A poof of smoke later and a giant clay bird stood ready for use. "Don't worry, Sasori-senpai. I'll handle this one," said the taller figure as he leaped on the bird. Having to wait for the Kyubi Jinchuriki to leave seemed pointless, as I'm sure we could have taken him, especially with my art. "You heard Leader Sama. We are not to face the Kyubi Jinchuriki. He is the leader's target," said the smaller figure as he added, "Don't keep me waiting." The taller figure took off on his bird over Sunagakure as the smaller figure realized it was finally time. "So, it begins,"